Hi, I'm Sarah and I'm interviewing Nina today. Do you want to tell a little bit about yourself?
Okay, sure. I'm Nina. I'm 25 years old. I work in advertising as a creative.
My first question for you is, are you a feminist?
Yes, I identify as a feminist.
Why?
Okay, cool. I was thinking about this, and I think generally my answer is because I'm a woman, and I feel as a woman living in a certain society that doesn't necessarily prioritize our needs. I guess I feel like it's important to be a feminist because I need to fight for my rights.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Was there a specific situation or something that prompted you to identify yourself as a feminist?
Right, yeah, actually, a lot of my journey into identifying more as a feminist came from Tumblr, because that was a lot of content that was circulating around that made me feel a lot more educated in the idea of feminism. And it was, I think growing up, I always felt like I understood moments where I was being compromised specifically for being a woman or specifically an Asian woman living in Canada. And I actually remember this specific moment where suddenly it was represented to me, like a certain injustice on Tumblr, where it kind of clicked that there was this one instance where I understood that something was wrong in terms of my understanding of like how the world works, especially in relation to how women should react to certain things. So this relates specifically to my discovery of the idea of rape culture, where there's a Tumblr post that my friend shared, and there was this protest poster from a way long time ago that just read, and I think it's really popular now. It's something about teach men not to rape, not women how not to get raped, or something along those lines. And I think it was like the first time where I realized like, oh my gosh, there is something very wrong with the fact that I have definitely been raised to avoid harassment rather than my brother or other men around me to not treat women disrespectfully.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anyway.
How long have you been a feminist for? Remember?
I think a lot of people, whether or not they identify as a feminist, probably have a lot of attributes or beliefs that are basically feminist. So growing up, I definitely felt empowered by the idea that women can do a lot more than society expects of them. So in that respect, I guess maybe I could identify myself as a feminist from since I was younger and felt like I was being treated unfairly, but probably with the introduction of feminism, that's where I more openly identified with that title. And so maybe, I forget when this was, high school, like when I was 15.
Okay.
So I guess, oh my god, I guess that was 10 years ago. Yeah.
What does feminism mean to you?
I guess it's just this basic idea that people, every person, every gender, deserves the same amount or the equitable treatment and empowerment and rights and stuff like that. So I guess the idea that whether you're a man or a woman or any other gender as you identify, you should be given the right amount of empowerment for you to do whatever it is that you want to do, whether that is you're a man or a woman or whatever, you want to be staying at home, raising your children, or if you want to be in STEM, regardless of your gender, despite it being very male dominated.
What makes you a feminist?
Right. What makes you a feminist is basically my belief in that all genders should have equitable treatment to their choices, and in practice, hopefully, I like whatever I speak up against or how I act and how I carry on my life kind of honors that.
Yeah. It's kind of strange to go deeper on that. What specifically things that you do, like when you carry out your life, that honors that?
Right, yeah. I guess in terms of tolerating conversations where people make light of any abusive behavior towards people, especially women, is something that I try to actively shut down. And so I think a lot of my friends from university are a lot better at this and kind of like removing casual conversation where they make stuff like, oh, and then, well, why don't they just, I don't even know, I can't even think of an example anymore of like where you take light of rape. But I think they respond a lot better to being sensitive about those topics, whereas some of my friends from high school who are not as exposed to feminist ideas will kind of learn about Aziz Ansari's story and just be like, well, nothing went wrong there. I had conversations with my friends where they said, well, I heard what happened in terms of what the whole Aziz Ansari thing, but their excuse in claiming that he's 100% innocent is actually saying, well, he said nothing happened. So, and that's like, I mean, agreeing or disagreeing that it was sexual harassment versus rape is like a very sensitive topic, but I find it very hard to digest that they saw nothing wrong with that situation. And so I guess like in my daily activity I'll try to argue against that.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes for very uncomfortable relationships when people disagree with you on such fundamental beliefs.
So you inform others of feminist ideas, and it opens up to
I'll
those
try to debate,
things.
yeah.
What do you want others to know about feminism if they literally do not know the definition, or they have all these what we see?
Preconceived notions?
Yes, exactly.
Maybe for the people who are against it because they have these they have this negative perception of feminists as being like very angry people who are always protesting, and I think a lot of people feel like a lot of female or feminists who are women are against men and hate men, which I'm sure there are that sector of feminists who very well hate men. I'm sure I don't want to like say that there aren't things about feminism that need to be addressed and fixed, but I guess the idea that feminism isn't as scary and isn't as radical as people think, at the end of the day it's really just about treating everyone the same, or at least equitably, so that they have the same access to rights and treatment on an everyday basis, whether that's just like the amount of the respect that they get while walking down the street, to how they are treated in the workplace, to what's acceptable to say or not in terms of like their looks or their body and personality and stuff like that.
What do you want others to know about feminists, like the people themselves?
Right. I think it's unfair to judge people based off of their self-identification as feminist, because a lot of people will carry certain negative perceptions or positive ones. So I would hope that at the end of the day, they see them as people who just really want to be treated fairly, and hopefully want others to be treated fairly, and want to be able to help empower others to be treated fairly.
Are there any specific feminist causes you care about?
When I was thinking about this question earlier on, I think my first reaction to it was just a sector or like a type of feminism that is definitely gaining more awareness, but is still obviously a problem, especially in a society that like is mainly white, and that's just intersectional feminism. And it's something that's definitely something that I'm learning a lot more about, and trying to unlearn a lot of like prejudices that I still hold. But intersectional feminists or intersectional feminism is basically just feminism that takes into account the intersectionalities of like race, sexuality, like disabilities and stuff like that, because obviously a woman may be treated unfairly or like a bit lesser than perhaps a man would be, but for example, if you then think about a black woman, like there's a lot of other obstacles that they face over someone who is white or white passing, and stuff like that. So I think that's specifically a cause that I'm definitely trying to educate myself more on, so that I can become a less shitty person, just like to other people, and also hopefully inspire other people to be less shitty people. Because I like a common issue within feminism is white feminism, where they just prioritize like power to the women, but basically all women and like transgender women don't count, and black women, well, you have your own issues and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is obviously problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you be open to wearing something that expresses your feminist identity?
I think in terms of, I'm very, very comfortable in how I dress currently in that kind of like very indirectly identifying my feminist approach of just like not wanting to, not feeling obliged to oblige the feminine conventions of, I don't know, gender norms and stuff.
Yeah.
But in terms of like wearing, I've never worn any t-shirts and stuff that'll say, like we were talking about this earlier, say stuff like, I'm a feminist, or the future is female, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I guess I would be open to it, especially if like, for example, the clothing was made by an organization or person that I really enjoy, and stuff like that. I guess I'm open to it.
Okay, cool. So today we're gonna do this activity where we're gonna reflect on your answers and design a graphic tee
Yes.
that represents your feminist identity.
Yeah.
So what's like the first thing you would want people to know about your feminist identity if you were to convey it on a shirt?
Oh man, I feel like that's so difficult. What I feel like I'm gravitating towards a lot is certain tattoo styles I really like. And at first when I saw these types of tattoos when I was younger, I always thought like I was like pretty what's it called, like prudish or conservative even when I was younger. But whenever I saw tattoos, and it's mostly on men, of like naked women, I was always like, oh, gross, disgusting, that's too provocative. And then now there's a lot of female tattoo artists who will draw like beautifully naked women.
Oh my
So I like the idea of like either drawing a naked woman with all her like lovely rolls and stuff, or a naked cat, because I also enjoy cats and cats are nice.
But would cats represent your feminist identity?
I feel like we could stretch it to a point where it could be feminist because of the whole like pussy synonym type thing.
Yeah, you're right.
I would love like a cat drawn like when they're posing as me as a French woman. Yes.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, please draw away.
Can you pose for me? I need a
Is it like it'll be like some what do they do? They'll like this. And they'll, okay, I'm imagining myself as Rose. It's basically there's a guy passing by. So either like, is it like this?
That's